Hi guys, welcome back to Ms Nhi Podcast. And today with me, another amazing guest come for my show. Welcome Joe and let Joe introduce for you guys who he is and what he been doing.
Awesome. Good to be here on your podcast. And my name is Josiah, but you can just call me Joe for short. All right. And I'm the co founder of X Factor Method. You can go to xfactormethod.com. In short, clients come to us pretty much when their business is stagnant or when their business is pretty much declining. And basically, we come in and we help them to identify what makes them special, unique, what's their unique X factor, and pretty much install a sales and marketing system into their business. And pretty much many of the clients who work with us, within about the first 1 to 3 months, they will see maybe about 10 to 20% jump in their business. And typically within the first year of working with us, their entire business likely double or perhaps minimally at least grow by 50%. Okay, so that's what we do. And I think we're going to collaborate a lot more also in the coming months and to pretty much share this knowledge and also help more Vietnamese people to grow a business.
Yeah, thank you, Joe, because I will invite Joe and Mel to Vietnam because I want more people know their knowledge. So if you guys interested, all the information is under the description below. First
Awesome.
question of the day. How was X Factor were born? Like who idea was that and how you guys decide and collaboration? What's the story behind of that to motivate you both and why you both decide to launch the company back then?
Okay, awesome. So, in order to understand how did X Factor come about, because X Factor was only pretty much born in, I think 2019, but
Yeah.
I started working with Mel in 2016. So, how did this entire thing came about? So, I'll just tell you a couple of stories of how I started and pretty much how I met Mel. Then, how did X Factor started? Okay, so pretty much, well, now it's 2024. So, about 2015, 2016, there about, right? I was still in university. So at that point of time, I was a very, very broke kid. Even though I come from a rather average or above average Singaporean family, right? But I was very, very poor with my finances, right? In Singapore, we have to do 2 years of national service. So after
Yes.
national service, and typically you go to national service, and once you come out, right, then you will have pretty much for most people a pool of savings. When I come out of national service, I had exactly the same amount of money that I went into. So pretty much 2 years of working in the army, you get salary every single month, and I didn't have any savings at all. So at that point of time, I was very worried. I was like, oh shit, man, if this continues, then I am going to be financially very, very unstable. Even though I'm a university student, I'm already thinking about that, you see, because I know that the pattern will probably continue in my adult life, and if I don't change anything. And that was when I picked up a book about personal finance by a guy called Sean Seah, right? So I read his book, I really liked it, and then I pretty much emailed him. So I emailed him and say, hey, I really like a book. Is it any way I can work for you? So on and so forth. But at the point of time, in the first time when I emailed him, there wasn't any opportunity or whatsoever. So we just made. So I went to his events and we made friends. That's all. But when I get into university about year 2 there about, right, that was when I got into the whole, I would say, online marketing scene where I learned a bit of marketing stuff from YouTube, from some books that I read, so on and so forth. Okay. And that is when I decided to, hey, apply some of these skills onto Sean's business. Okay.
Mm.
And at first, I didn't have a lot of great results, so on and so forth, until there was one day where I came across one of the top internet marketers in Singapore. He was writing out a post and say, hey, he's been coaching a lot of other top internet marketers and they're getting good results. And he was not like openly recruiting students or whatsoever. He was just sharing their case studies. But then at about time, I was like, I really wanted to learn from this guy. Okay, I want to learn from this guy, and I want to learn how can I be so good and as wealthy as them, correct? So I added him as a friend on Facebook, and I wish that I can like pretty much he accept I can have a chat and then we meet him. But for about 1 month plus, and you know what? He did not reply me. So I was like, this guy is too high up there already. Yeah, he will not reply me. He will not bother me or whatsoever. But one day when I was walking out of church, and I recall it was Sunday afternoon, and suddenly I saw, hey, he replied me and he said, hey, sorry, Joe, your message went into the other inbox. and I didn't see it. So I quickly texted him and I said, hey, why not let's meet up so I can have a chat with you or whatsoever. And he agreed. So I went down to his house. And at that point of time, I already wanted him to be maybe a mentor. Okay. And I did something that I've never ever done in my life before. When I'm meeting a person, I wrote him a letter. So I wrote him a letter. Yes, I distinctly recall at where I wrote it also. So I type it out on a computer and write a one-page letter. And I tell him that, hey, I've seen his stuff on Facebook. I really like what he does. I know he coached many other folks. So I wrote him a letter and I wanted him to take me in as his student. So I wrote it and we met somewhere in Balestier. Okay, his name is called Eddie. We met at a cafe called Wheeler's Yard. Okay, it was a very, very large cafe. And then I passed him the letter when I first met him and I said, okay, let me go and get coffee. So I came back, brought a coffee, and then he looked a bit interesting and impressed, right? As the convo continued for after he spoke about 1 hour plus there, then he said, that he is going to take me in and offer to teach me the subject that he knows. Okay, but here's the problem: the course at the point of time where he wanted to coach me was a 2-week program. So it's not even one day, a few things. It's a 2-week program, and we go to his house every single day. And then here's the next thing. So I want to ask him, what is it about? He never tell you anything about what is it about. I have no idea what I'm going to learn. I have no idea what's the curriculum or whatsoever. But I just know that there are many top people who has already been to that class before, the exact same class that he told me about. So I said, on the spot, even though I had no money, I told him, yes, let's do it. Okay. Then that was when I panicked already. Oh my gosh. I'm like, where the hell do I go and find $6,000? Okay. I distinctly recall, right, I pretty much had less than 5K in my bank account. Okay. So at the point of time, I went home. Okay. And the first person I shared this news with was my ex-girlfriend. Now wife. Okay. Now. And her first reaction was, hey, why not I can lend you the money. So, and can you imagine? My wife suggested to lend me the money. She has more money than I have to go and for this course.
Yeah,
so that was
most Singaporean back then in that situation because you go army.
Yeah.
So it's different. So the girl work first. So we all work like the woman in Singapore work first, so they make money before you.
You know what? In most cases, that is true. You know what's the funny thing?
What?
She was not even like working out in the workforce. She was at the point of time still a student. She was still a student.
She have a very good money management.
Yes. So you see, I was like in an above average kind of family. So I didn't go out to work when I was like in my teenager or when I was like so on and so forth. So I didn't have a lot of money or savings there. But she go out to work during holidays. She go out to work during weekends, so on and so forth, right? So she was way better than me financially. So at that point of time, she offered. But of course, I cannot take from her. I take from my girlfriend money to go and take the course. I'm like, I can't do that, right? So I went instead to my mom. And I told my mom, hey, mom, I met this person. I met this guy, Eddie. He is like one of the top guys in Singapore. He coached other top guys. And then I would like to learn from him. Could you lend me $6,000? Okay, then she asked me, what am I going to learn? I said, I have no idea. I only know that all of these top guys been to go and find him. Okay, that's all I know. Then she's like, wow, like very hard to justify, correct? So
Yes,
long story short, she didn't bother me for 1 or 2 weeks. Okay, but suddenly one day she just told me that, hey, I transfer you the money. I'm like, oh my goodness. So I was very happy. Right? I'm very thankful for her. She transferred me the money. And long story short, I went to this course, did the whole 2 weeks thing together with some of my other batchmates, and pretty much wanted to implement everything as soon as possible. Correct? So about 6 to 8 weeks after the course, I made back all the money, paid back my mom, and pretty much the rest is history. Okay.
Yeah.
And you were wondering, hey, how do I part of how I made back the money was I took all my new skill set and I applied it into the business that I was working on, like I previously mentioned to you at Sean. So I was working for my old mentor Sean, and we were doing barter trading. So I pretty much helped him to do the entire service, right? I would market his stuff for him, run his ads for him. I would design the marketing funnel and system. When the leads come in, I will respond to them. When they come for his workshop, I will be the one there to receive them, say hi to them. And when they are keen to sign up, I'll be there to assist them to register. And if they don't sign up, I'll be the one who pretty much like give them a call, give them a ring to go and like follow up, so on and so forth. So I did the entire process, and pretty much then he gave me a portion of the revenue, right? So that was when I first time ever, when even when I was in university, I made 5 figures, and that was my first ever into business, right? So the story is going to come to how I met Mel, right? So I was working for Sean, and I was bringing him so many leads, bringing him so many students into his business. That one of our Mel and my mutual friend, okay, his name is called Reshvin, okay. So he told Mel about it, and he said, "Hey, there's this underground guy called Joe. He has been filling up Sean Sia's room, and pretty much you should come one day and go and see who he is now, right?" So he was telling Mel about my partner Melvin about me, and then my partner Mel came down to the workshops and see, hey, on an afternoon, on a weekday afternoon, the place is packed, there are many people coming to the workshop, so on and so forth. And Mel was curious to meet the guy who is kind of responsible for making this happen, right? So the first time I met my partner, we spoke for about 3+ hours in a cafe. 3+
Wow.
hours in a cafe.
Love in the first sight.
Probably love at first sight. No, so you see, sometimes it's like you never know, correct? So
Yeah.
pretty much, it is definitely like a meeting of two people with pretty much similar interests or similar values. So when we met, I still recall, right? Hey, so I was sharing with him what kind of stuff I was doing that got results. He was sharing with me what kind of campaigns and what kind of stuff he was doing to get results. So we are running pretty similar businesses, but doing for different folks, correct? So that was the first time we met, correct? And we decided to do business. And guess what? This is May. Let me see what is this? This is May 29. So the last time I checked, I think if I'm correct, the company was incorporated 8 years ago this week. Exactly 8 years
Oh,
ago this week. So
congratulations. Yeah.
yeah, so this has been eight years since I started the business with my partner Mel, and pretty much we first began to promote a guy called Marshall Turber, and we did his workshop for him. He is a very very renowned speaker trainer from the US, and who has coached many of the top folks like Tony Robbins, T.F. Ecker, so on and so forth. Correct, but once again, the long story short, about 3 years plus into the promoting Marshall, we received a very bad news one day when we woke up and said that, hey, the main person that we're working with, our partner, he actually had a triple heart. He is going for a triple heart bypass, right? So there was some very complex heart situation. So long story, we had to pretty much refund many folks who had already signed up for his workshop, and that was 2018, 2019 there. So at that point of time, we kind of had an identity crisis. Hey, my goodness, what are we going to do? Because for some time we've been known as the guys who, hey, bring Marshall Turber into Asia, promote him, he's our mentor, so on and so forth, right? But that was at the point of time where we said, hey, since we have all of these skills, and for quite some time when we were doing that Marshall business and the whole promoting Marshall, people have been asking us, hey, to help them with their business, help them with marketing, but we said no. We just wanted to focus on promoting Marshall. So pretty much it was during at that transition period where we said, okay, we are going to teach teach people how we exactly got business for many of the folks for ourselves, right? So that was pretty much in 2019 we started X Factor, and if you go to Google reviews right now and go and key in xfactormethod.com, you can see many folks who has been through either our consults, our boot camps, our workshops, and then they have left many 5-star reviews because they have found that our stuff is simple to understand, very relatable, filled with examples, and pretty much easy to implement into the business to get results straight away. So pretty much that sums up the whole journey of how I kind of started with no money. Pretty much I have to kind of borrow to get a start, and then cleared a debt within about 6 to 8 weeks, and then one situation after another. Then that's where we are right now, uh, here at X Factor. Yep.
Well, that's a very inspiring story, especially for young people who start up. So you guys, if right now you don't have money to start up, remember that none of us is have money when we start up. So do I. Is a is the more tough life give you is the opportunity for you to break through that to create something amazing, right? Wow, awesome, man!
Definitely.
Like, it's been like what 8 years you running this, and you guys one of the mention I sharing in Joe and Mel class and also in the public, I want to say that my business grow also one of the part that I learned from them, right? They did give me the knowledge that when I apply for my business and it worked. The key is have to be work. Yes, you have to book the work to make thing done, but you also need to get the right coach and right mentor to make it work for you. The next question I want to ask is about that. Like, what is a challenge that you face in the business of support other business, especially you and Mel do with all the big guy who they already legit in the market and they already make some kind of money and their business is growing. Consider is a difficult client, right? Because people who make money already they have demanding, they have higher requirement when come to service and take care of them. How do you deal with the challenge, and what's the challenge that make you still remember up to now?
Okay, so the question is, is there any challenge when dealing with businesses or people with businesses with a pretty large
Yeah.
scale, correct? So here's the funny thing that most people don't know: that the larger the business is, right, the easier it is to work with them. That
Mm,
is the very interesting thing that I have came to experience. Okay, so if you compare my clients who are at the 7, 8 figure level versus like 5 figure, 6 figure level, right, it is way easier to serve them when they are making so much more money. Okay, number one, they have already a business machine that is going on, making them money already.
mm,
Number two, they are people who want results and they want to get results without spending so much time, effort. Number three, they have very little time to spend speaking with you, spend going back and forth with you, whatsoever. They want to see results, like I said in point two, correct? So what that means, right, is all of these factors add up together. Okay. And basically it's just very easy to consult, is to help them to re-strategize their business and to give them certain kind of tips or pointers to just make one small tweak, because their business is already so large, right? So if one small tweak, right, worth is easily worth 6 figures, worth simple 5 figures for them. So I just give you an example. Okay. I had this lady who we have been coaching her for about 1.5, almost 2 years already. Okay. One person alone, she brings in 1.5 million Sing dollars. Okay. So she is doing pretty well herself. When she first came to meet us, she was already doing the kind of numbers. But she, all I speak to her pretty much in a month is less than 1 hour, or less than 30 minutes, to just give her certain direction, check in with her on certain kind of thing that she's working on, and that's all that she requires. And then literally, her business just grew by 10-20% within the first 3 months. And that's all by installing few systems. See, so 10-20% to her is a 6 figure thing with a few minor tweaks. Because sometimes when they are some businesses, when they get larger and larger, they tend to maybe forget some of the fundamental. Tend to forget some of the simple small things, just like turn a blind eye to it, right? So on the contrary, when I meet some other folks who is just starting out, oh, they haven't even made their first 5K, or they haven't even made their first 6 figures. The amount of I would say strategy and the amount of effort needed to get there to cross the first hurdle is so much harder than people who have already crossed those big hurdles. Okay, so if you ask me, I have a lot more challenges with the folks that actually who are not doing at a higher level instead. And what kind of challenges would it be? Um, to a certain extent, in my opinion, okay, in my opinion, there are always two kind of people. Number one, the kind of people that will succeed with or without you. It means without Joe, without my partner Mel, or without X Factor, they will also succeed. Who are those
mm,
people? Like N, correct? Because I still distinctly recall, okay, We were in and you have been to one of our first few, if not the first or the second boot camp ever in X Factor, correct?
Yeah.
And I recall it was in some shopping center. I don't know, is it third floor, fourth floor, whatever it is. So it's
Yeah.
I recall it's a long
In
ass
early
classroom,
2020.
early 2020. Okay, so
Yeah.
pretty much one of the first few
I think
batches.
I'm a second batch.
Second batch, ah?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So as you can see, we were only a tiny part. We played a tiny part in your life, and with or
Yeah.
without us, frankly, you will definitely succeed. Okay, that's the truth. Okay, and you perhaps took a bit of a start that you learned at that point of time. You weren't doing the best like what you were doing right now, correct?
Yeah.
But you persevered. You went to carve a niche on yourself. You went to put in all the hard work. You went to find a way out, so on and so forth. And guess where you are today, correct? Last I checked, and the last we spoke, you are one of the top, if not the top number one, life coach and business coach, kind of in Vietnam, correct?
Yeah.
So these are the people that was so first group people that will succeed with or without us because, like you, they have a innate desire to succeed, and they will find no excuses. In fact, they will find all solutions and they will go and test all solutions possible to go and make their business work. Correct. So the second group of people is no matter what they do, correct, they will often find the problems in all situations, or they will be rather negative, or they will not be the most optimistic. Okay. So in comparison, guess what? The people that I find most challenging to work with, right, are the group number two.
Mm.
Because whatever instructions you give them, whatever strategy you give them, they would say that they will go and do. Perhaps they will do one time. Then it don't quite work. Then they will say, "Hey, this thing really don't work. Correct? This thing don't work. This thing cannot make it, so on and so forth." So they will always blame something else apart from themselves. Correct?
Mm.
Versus when I give right, when I give a strategy or instruction to a group one person like you, then they will, by hook or by crook, they will go and test it. If it doesn't work, they will quickly immediately come back and say, "Hey, I tested this, don't quite work. I also tested B, C, D, it don't quite work. Can you please tell me what I can do next?" Correct? So they don't just do one thing. They do one thing plus another two, three, four things, don't work, then they come and get feedback, and then we give them a few more tweaks, and then they move along. So those are the people that are easy to work with. The most challenging to work with are the people pretty much don't have a very, I would say, established business, and their mindset and their whole attitude is not the best. So that is, frankly, the hardest to work with. And if you ask me, is there any cure for that? Probably there is, but I don't have one for them that I can deliver to them.
Mm.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think when I become business owner and start on my journey, of course, early age, I'm start business when I young. Back then, when I'm in Vietnam, 18 years old, before I moved to Singapore, I didn't know that's what my passion, right? And when I do it without help, which is in Vietnam, I don't have knowledge. I just do it by myself naturally. Zero result, of course. Fail, lose money, depressed, one man show, do everything until I come to Singapore and I learn the right method to how run business correctly, what system should be done in the business, what is doing the business with scale level and so on, right? And I can see that the harder thing is never about what type of business you run. The harder thing is what type of person you are in the business, because everybody can sell the same product like you. Tomorrow somebody will sell the same thing like I sell, but people buy because of you until you
Mm.
figured out who are you. And exactly like you say in the class, and if you guys love to learn more about what Mel and Joe teaching, the link is under the description below. And only when I'm in class and for the first time, like this the other day, I tell with you and Mel in the meeting, remember I say, thank to you, Mel, you teach me who to don't take and who take. So it saved me a lot of time, which is true. That method is the number one I apply in my business, because I used to be everybody is client until I see Mel and you teach me like, no, you should don't serve everybody. And I like, you know, I said, get lost. I only take care of people that understand what I'm doing. And it working. It narrowed down to the focus on the business, but at the same time, I know who am I and who I working well with. It's a lot of discovering yourself when it comes to business as well, like stress, finance, cash flow, staff, training, new stuff from the market. How do you apply that in the company? How do you scale it? How you make the next level? And I don't think everybody should be business owner, right? Everybody should learn how to be a business owner because you're going to be own your life. But I realize the toughness in your brain is, I think, genetically and of course training. So yeah, it's hard. I have people come and say want to be business partner with me also, but after third sentence, I don't think you're ready for this. Because like as a business owner, you know what I mean, right? It's not just a sunshine day and a beautiful day. Most of the time, 99% of the time, we all do a lot of try and error and fix it and behind the scene until it work, and then we finally officially book that on the market, for example. Or we test a lot behind the scene, we training, we fail, and then we finally make the system work. So yes, I agree with you on that. How,
Certainly, most people
yeah,
think that starting a business is going to be a piece of cake, but sometimes they don't understand that perhaps we work longer hours
yeah,
and we think about the business way longer, even during weekends, as compared to the salaried employee.
yeah,
And I'm very certain that for many business owners, they only find out about the public holiday one day before, whereas their team members would have already found out about the public holiday 3 months before and planned for a holiday. But we will just be
yeah.
working, and suddenly you say, "Hey, tomorrow's holiday. Oh, is it? What event is it?" Right? So that is the way of life.
Yeah, I don't even have holiday. I never see my calendar that my PA give me that any day that I don't have weekend. I don't have holiday, and even my daughter have school holiday. She don't have that privilege to, our mommy school holiday. Let's go. But wherever I go, if I can bring her, I just carry her with me everywhere we go for business trip.
Hey, that is awesome.
Let's talk about the partnership between you and Mel. How do you deal with him? He's a very outspoken, very loud, right? And I think okay, guy, if you're watching Mel video last week, you can see Joe and Mel is completely. You can feel like, wow, these two become a partner perfectly. How come, right? But I think I impressed by that. Mel have a good style of teaching and coaching, and you have a good style of structure and planning behind the scene. But I'm sure when we're working, conflict may have and all that. Are you consider yourself introvert? Like
Oh,
don't.
I don't consider. I know for sure I'm introverted. Lah.
How do people work with introvert person?
Okay, that's a very interesting question, right? So, one of the common misconceptions I think many people out there might have, right, is that introverts are like, oh, they can't speak well, they always keep to themselves, they cannot present, they are very hard to deal with, they are not personable, you cannot build a relationship with them, kind of stuff, correct? However, if they go and like do a bit more research, right, then they will just find out that the difference between introvert and extrovert, right, is just that when you are tired, how do you recharge, correct? And
Yes.
extrovert, when they are tired, they recharge by they going out to find more people to give them the, I don't know, the interaction and excitement, and then
Yes.
they're recharged, they're energized, right? But when you're an introvert, perhaps when you want to recharge, you just want to be alone, you don't want to speak to people, kind of stuff. Then you recharge. So once you understand
Same
that,
like
right?
you.
Yes, so
Yeah.
you're introverted.
Introverted.
Very
People think
interesting.
I'm naturally do this, but actually it take me 3 years of do YouTube, which is I practice a lot to be where am I. I I'm sorry I say this. I hate crowded place. One class I teach, I need 3 months to recharge.
Oh,
Yeah, I need to go back to my and I need to alone at least a week away from all the human being, even my daughter and my helper. Because by the time I done 3 day class, that's it. My tank is gone, empty.
hey.
Yeah, so I'm actually introvert. Like even my girlfriend, they all come to my house and they realize, oh my god, you just sit one corner, you do nothing in the house. Because when you go out, you look at me, you would think I were everywhere, but you do that because it's a job. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So people just need to understand, right, that introverted people can also be great presenters, great
Mm.
leaders, great communicators, right? Just like extroverts, right? And in fact, they can also be very, very good salespeople also, right? Why?
Yeah.
Because most people think that, hey, in doing sales, you need to be like very outspoken, but that is very wrong, correct? In fact, you need to
Mm.
be very what? You need to out listen the other person so that you can understand and you can hear their thoughts, their feelings, and what the actual concern is, right? But if you're always speaking in the conversation, then how do you even get to know them, correct? So you can't, correct? So in that sense, I would say that, hey, perhaps the introvert, right, might have an advantage, right, in many, many sales situations also,
Yeah.
correct?
Listening.
So pretty much like I said, right, in introversion, there's a lot of strength and a lot of I would say advantages as well. So that nothing to do with like a skill set. So if anyone is watching right now and you might be interested, you might be introverted, which maybe 50% of you who's watching right now, there is zero disadvantage that you have in business in any area of your life. Okay, you just need to know
Mm.
that
Yeah.
nothing. It has nothing to do with your communication, your leadership, or whatsoever. It has nothing. So guess what? If I'm see like for you and when you don't present, you're just going to be doing by yourself. You're going to be alone in a corner, a couch, don't talk to anyone. Same for
Yeah.
myself, right? But because I had to present to you guys today,
I
guess
thought
what?
I'm the only one. And I don't understand why it's so tired for me to talk to people. I deal with people. After that, I feel like, oh my God, why? But my girlfriend is opposite because she is an extrovert person. She can go to networking for few days, and the more she go, the more she excited. And by
Wow.
half of the day, I already, oh my God, can I go home already? But because we go out together, right, I need to be there, accompany her. But
Yeah.
it's just ask to the third person of what's your name. So I think YouTube is perfect for me because I don't have to see human.
Wow.
I
Awesome. So
just
you just talk.
I just thought I just imagination in front of me is one person. That's it. Because you talk to the
Hey.
camera. Yeah. So I
So
solve the
see.
problem that I have.
Fantastic. And that's actually one of the biggest leverage, right? Because
Yeah.
there's many, many forms of leverage, but one of the top two kind, right, is either you create leverage in this world by number one, media. Media means whatever we are doing right now, correct? We are having a
Yeah.
conversation, it is being recorded. Later on, it will be uploaded somewhere in YouTube. Perhaps it will be repurposed into many different formats and placed into other channels, correct? So that's one of the top the ways to leverage, right? Media, content creation, all this kind of stuff. And the second way is code, lah, right? If you can do all the computer stuff, you can write code, you can create software. That is another form of leverage, right? Once done, many people can use that software, use that code, that kind of stuff. So in
Yeah.
most cases, I cannot code, correct? So probably people like you and I, right, who are introverts, we can leverage a lot on the um, content creation and media kind of platform like this. But in
Yeah.
any case, okay, back to the question again. You're asking the introvert and what else again?
How to deal with the extrovert like
Or
Mel.
how to deal with an extrovert.
Because sometimes he
So,
book me to shame me. Every time exercise, run after the class, people break, he exercise again. He going, he have so much. His stamina is like I was like, oh my God, Mel, you're not human, man.
so this is the thing. Okay, this is gonna be funny.
Okay, let's talk bad about Mel. Mel, you should not
Don't
watch
talk,
this episode.
not talk about Mel. Okay, so I think the another question you also had is like, hey, how do I interact with him and how do I perhaps quote unquote deal with him? So you see, what I realized, right, is he has high amount of energy level that he need to dispense. So you see, right? I'm very certain that you have some extroverted friends who are not as active as Mel, correct? And perhaps
Yeah,
Mel is very very active, like physically
yeah,
and so on. So perhaps that is like how he was built, like how God built him. Is like, hey, this
yeah,
guy needs to move around a lot, lah, huh?
yeah,
Basically, he cannot sit still one. Okay, so there are many instances where I've heard from him and also seen where he goes to an event, he goes to a workshop. It could be a 3 day thing or whatsoever. And then when the guy is speaking, he's walking around at the back of
yes,
the room, and then he'll go out, he'll come in again, and then so on and so forth. So he just needs to be active. So some people are just built that way, correct? And at the part about extroversion, okay, uh, I don't know. I have actually, you know what's one funny thing? I've actually met a guy who is quite, he runs a personality profiling website,
mm,
and
mm,
he wrote a book about personality profiles. And he told me that he thinks that Mel's personality is introverted. I don't know.
Mm.
Okay, I mean, if
Yeah,
you
but
if you
I
look,
think also makes sense because if you just see Mel, you will see he ongoing. But actually, personally, you sit with him, you realize he very selective who he sit with. And introvert is like that. We don't make friend with everyone. I have very few friends, less than five, but I'm very tight to that.
okay,
I don't have more than that. If my friend left me, then maybe it's time to me for find new one. I'm not interested to find new friend. Right? Even mentor, right? I have all mentor is introvert. And sometimes we can, like it's funny because we can in the like the mountain, sit in the top villa, and my mentor just drink a coffee and I drink a coffee and we just look at each other. The view is so nice and nothing to talk. And we can sit like that for a few hours because we're so tired from training and teaching back few like 4 months. So when we see each other, we just want to chill. Like we just want to see the view, right? And yeah, it like unspoken thing and you can understand. So Mel were very selective friendship and relationship or even people around him. That's how I observe.
yep. So
Yeah.
I guess pretty much that's why. Do you know what's the funny thing? Not? You know that I have never ever gone on an official like holiday with Mel ever, and
I
most of
know
my
you both
interaction.
can. Work is perfect.
Yes, yes, yes.
I think
So
he will
so
try us not. If he asks
yeah,
us to go
his
around and
his
all that, we
his
both die.
definition of entertainment and what he like to do for fun is very different from most people, right?
Yeah.
So so he does his own entertainment stuff, and I will do mine. So pretty much that's how it rolls. So in any case, if just now you're asking me, hey, how do I work with Mel since we are like polar opposite, quite different people, correct? So I think looking back, the short answer, if, even for Mel and I believe that if someone is over here in this spectrum and the other person is over here, somehow when they come together, right, then they average out and then they just nice in the middle. That's
Ah,
exactly what happens to us. Correct.
yeah.
So when I work with him, contrary to most people believe, there's actually very little friction, very little argument because of this one element called respect and
Mm,
understanding. I understand his strength and I respect his strength, and those are the things, right, that I will never be greater than him at doing, and therefore
yeah.
I do not question him in those areas, and I very rarely will give my feedback or provide alternative stuff or whatsoever. However, when it's in my area of operations and in my area of expertise, if he was to uh, mention anything whatsoever, then I will stand my ground and I will also provide reasons for why I believe we should do certain things, so on and so forth. And then
Mm,
therefore he also understands and respects, hey, this is my area of expertise. He can have his opinion, but at the end of the day, I'm gonna call a shot here, correct? So
yeah.
so he knows what I'm good at, I know what he's good at, and therefore that mutual level of understanding, right, equals to respect, equals to less argument and so on and so forth. Less conflict. So in that regard, we are like very easygoing. Yeah. So I can't even recall a single occasion where we have any
Wow,
huge argument.
that's a very blessing to have a good business partner. I mean,
Thank
I
God.
run a
Yes.
business. Yeah, it's. I think that's the most struggling that most people have in business. That find a partner that can be harmony run a business together. Like I have two
Yes.
business partner in Singapore, right? We run company together, and it's really much. We exactly like you just say. Even for a year, we don't go eat with each other. That most of the time we communication on the phone, right? And we rarely see each other at the site. But we run business together, and people don't even know we run business together. We still take care of each other. We text each other. We ask about family, what's going on, who's sick, and all that. But we don't really much like when business is business, relationship is relationship. But when in
Mm.
business, we very align and same value and understand each other's strength, right? Like you say, so for example, I good with front line and doing sale and marketing. So my team will give me that. They don't question how I do it. They don't question how do you close the deal, how do you make it happen, how people take the project. They don't ask. And
Yep.
then the other side, the person who very good at finance and very good at back end paperwork, they do it. right? I'm not. I don't
Yep.
care about the paper. I don't care how much money in this month company, and I doesn't care. The money comes to my bank account, and I just okay, we make money. That's it. But I don't even check accountant. Like I know I say this, people were like, "What? You're a business owner and you don't check?" Yeah, I know how to do it, but I'm not interested to do it. Right? It's not my cup of tea. It's not something that, oh my god, I love it. You have to learn for understand how the business run. But when you're doing it, you would love to have. And then my other partner who run technical, I also not knowing about technical stuff, how to make the thing awesome. So it's very very hard to find perfect match for business partner. So is that considered lucky for you? Do you feel like young men and boy right now to want to start business, they also have to looking into this side, and what the advice you will give to them about
Okay.
looking for right partner?
So if you ask me, is it luck? I'll probably say no. Probably I will say definitely is perhaps God has put us together. Correct. It is definitely a divine arrangement for sure. So, but on hindsight, okay, on hindsight, right now that I'm here and I look back, wow, this kind of beautiful marriage, a business marriage, right? Um, and because moving forward from here, even Mel and myself, right, we have to also work with different partners and evaluate different partnerships over the years also, correct? With other people, either it's a joint venture, so on and so forth. So how do we evaluate? I can just share with you a couple of things that we do over here also, correct? Number one, which is far most important, is like the values, correct? What
Yeah.
do I value versus what do the other person value? Are we aligned? Okay, so I can give you a couple of examples. So one of the in the past when we were exploring some business partnerships and opportunities with other folks, right? Then we could clearly see that some other folks they value money and wealth above many things. They
Mm.
value superficial value like looking good, like certain things, lah, correct? In the business, they're very flashy, so on and so
Yeah.
forth. So those people, not that they are wrong, it's just that they have a different value than Mel and myself,
Yeah.
correct? Therefore, we don't quite match, and therefore we do not do business. Simple as that, correct?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, we don't even need to talk about personality. Personality is number two. The first thing is values. Do we even align in the stuff that we treasure and that we value? If not, then we don't need to explore further lah, because we won't live and we won't probably be doing well in the same room for a long time, correct? So, assuming that the values match, okay, then number two, how do you choose a partner? Okay, I would say that the second one, right, is if you have two-person of the same personality and the same strength in the room, then one of them is redundant, one of them is useless, correct? Because you pretty much have one plus one. It's not going to be three, four, five. It's going to be two only, correct? So you want to find partners who are able to complement your weaknesses. Their strength is your weakness, and your strength is their weakness. Correct. But then again, this sounds good on theory. How do you go and find it? Okay. So here are some few practical steps. Okay. There are a couple of I would say business personality assessment tools out there. Okay. Some needs a lot of money, like 97, 67 USD per person to go and do it. So if that kind of amount of money is not a concern for you, then you can get yourself and your whole team to go and do it. Correct. So that is called wealth dynamics. Wealth dynamics is a test. You can just go and Google online wealth dynamics. Pay either is it $67 or $97? You can go and get it done, and then you will find out what kind of profile you are and what kind of profile you should partner up with in business and why. And pretty much it's all laid out there. So I will not go and explain more. You can just go and Google it. Right. That is if you have a bit of cash here. If not, if you don't want to spend that kind of money for yourself and your team members, then another one you can just do is simply just go and take those kind of like MBTI 16 personality test. Correct? This is the first most basic one. And another further thing that you can do is go and research this thing called marketing personality. So it's something that we cover also in our boot camps, okay, called marketing personalities. And pretty much the whole idea is very simply different people has different personality, and as such, their preferences in doing business, their preferences in doing marketing is also different. So you
Yeah.
pretty much want to find people who are different in that way, and you can just go and find out more about that also, and make sure that uh, you are extremely different. Correct. So those are a few simple tips that you can do and use right now to pretty much identify what are your strengths, your weaknesses, and find someone who can complement it. Okay, so those are some simple tips that they can do.
How about find a right woman as well? And that's the next
Find,
question.
find a what?
Find a right woman for your life as well.
Oh my
Maybe,
goodness, find a right woman in my life. That
yeah,
is a good.
right. That will be a second. Beside of partnership in business, how about that question that I want to ask you?
Okay.
Your
Has
ex
she not-
girlfriend is be your wife.
Sorry.
Your ex girlfriend be your wife.
Yes. How
Do
dare
you
me now?
do you think women contribute in the success of the man as well in your personal experience? Because this question I asked the same to Mel, right? I asked Mel, and I asked all the male guests come to my show. So my mentor say the bigger choice of the man in my man life is the one that they're going to marry and the crowd that they're going to hang around, which is the friend. Do you agree with that?
All right. What a good question right here. Okay. In any case, and have I ever told you how I met my wife?
Haven't.
Okay. I don't
How did
think
you
I have
met?
publicly on
No.
any podcast or whatsoever.
Even in the class, you didn't share. You never
Okay.
share.
So now you're gonna hear the story.
Oh, exciting.
Exciting, huh? So this happened. I don't know when was this. This was started before I met Mel. About half a year, 1 year before I met Mel. So this was I don't know, maybe almost 9 to 10. Actually, it's 8 to 9 years ago. Thereabout. Okay, so you know how at that point of time I was in school, correct? So when I go to school, I see girls every single day. When I take the train and go to school, I see ladies of different ages. When I go to school, the whole class also got girls on it also, correct? However, at that point of time, I was single and I was single for almost 7 years. 7 years.
My
Okay, it's not
God.
at that point of time, I was like, it's not because I cannot find girlfriend or not because I don't go out with any girls. I do still go out in a period of time to see, is there any potential match or whatsoever? But there was no. And at that point of time, there was just no one that I was like, hey, go like really steady with. Correct. So one day when I was coming back from school, I took the train from City Hall back into the east side. I get on the train and I walk. I was on the way home. And I reached the cross junction. Okay. And when I reached the cross junction, I saw a lady standing there at the traffic light. And I can only saw her back view. I never see her side, I never see her front, I never see her ears, anything. All I see right from the back right was a girl, long hair to the middle of the back, wearing a backpack. That's all I see, wearing jeans. But there was like a very strong voice that tell me that, hey Joe, you should go and speak to her. You go and speak to her, get to know her. Even though I never see this person ever in my life. I never see even I don't even know whether Chinese, Malay, Indian or Angmo, okay? All I know is
Yeah.
the girl. So I'm walking behind her. So I was like, oh goodness. So and then as we began crossing the traffic light, then I realized that hey, she continued walking in the direction I was walking. Okay. And
Oh,
about 100 plus meters later, she turned right. She turned right and she was about to walk into her house. Okay, walk
mm,
towards her house. And I was like, oh my gosh, if I don't speak to this person right now, I'll never see her again.
yeah.
Correct? And I was like, oh my goodness. So that's when my sales training, no joke, my sales training kicked in. Because my sales training was like, if I don't speak to this prospect or this guy who walk past, I will never speak to them again. So I was like,
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to speak to her.
Yeah.
Okay. So I shouted from very far away, excuse me, excuse me. Okay. And then she turned. She looked into my direction, but it was very late at night, 8 plus 9 o'clock. Correct?
Yeah.
She turned, she cannot see anyone. She turned back and she continued walking. Then I was like, oh shit, man. If I don't speak to her today, I will never see her ever. Correct? I was like, okay, I'm gonna give you another shot. So I shouted, excuse me, again. Okay. Then this time around she stopped. Then I ran towards her and then I spoke to her.
Uh,
Okay, and come, you make a guess. What was my opening line to her?
cannot be something that No, you cannot be too weird. You say have a void inside me, tell me to talk to you. That's sure we get scolded by the girl. Maybe something about her clothes, her bag, her shoe,
Okay,
or her
something about her.
look. Maybe you would say like she looked familiar with someone that you know.
Okay, good guess, good guess. Quite there, but not quite. So here's the answer. Okay. Uh, I asked her, uh, do you know where is this road?
Uh,
Do you know where is road B? We're standing at road
uh,
A. Do you know where is road B? She said she don't know. She
yeah,
lived there. My God, she don't even know where is road B. But so I just said I was just joking. I just wanted to speak to you only. Okay. So that was how I began the convo. Then I began asking her, hey, you seem to be carrying a bag. Like, where are you studying? Where are you from? Da, 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 correct. Then I found out that we were from the same junior college. We were from the same secondary school, so on and so forth. Right. Correct. So hey, there's a lot of commonality right there. Okay.
God.
So then, okay, at one time I took down her Instagram, and then I got her number, and then we just like left her, right? So when I went home, I began texting her, but this was what she began to ignore me. She began to ignore me for the next one whole week, because on hindsight, actually, she told me that she thought I was a Casanova, like a playboy, well, go and meet new girl, take number, that kind of stuff. So she don't
Yeah.
want to
Oh
bother
my
me.
God. Oh my
In
God.
fact, the next day, right, she went home at a different time. She don't want to go home at the same time because she was afraid, right, that I will be there to stop her. Oh my goodness. That was what she was thinking. Lah.
Yeah.
Okay. So about 1 week plus later, I was like, oh, I text this girl, don't reply me. I even went to my phone and I was on the verge of deleting her phone number. I'm like, bloody hell, this person don't want to reply me. I want to delete already. Okay. So 1 week plus later, I was on the way home. I was on the way
Yeah.
home, and this time around not 8 plus 9, about 6 plus 7. So there's a bit of daylight, but also the sun is coming down. And then I was walking home under the MRT track, and from a very very far, right, I can see a girl running, because you can see the ponytail lah, ponytail just
Yeah.
like swing, swing, swing. But I told myself I didn't want to be a creep, right? Like a girl run past and you stare, 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 very, very creepy, right? So I just say I'm gonna look front only. Okay. So on that day, this girl ran past me, and then I was like, in my heart, weird, weird. Don't know what happened. Then I stopped and I turned and looked at her. Then I'm like, hey, isn't that the girl from last week? Isn't that the
Yeah.
girl that I just met? Okay. So I stopped, walked up towards her, and then we spoke for a while. And I asked her, "Hey, can I walk you back to your house, lah?" She said, "Okay." Then I walked her home. So I walked her home, and that was the beginning of the entire journey. Okay, so I later found out that, do you know that she has the same birthday as my mom? She has the same birthday as my mom,
Oh my
and
God. Really?
right, and
Joe, you both very destiny to be together.
it
Oh my God.
is, and
I feel like I
I know
listen
you
to
are
you right
into
now.
those kind of 八字 and astro kind of stuff. Right? Do you know
Yes.
that in Chinese, right, there's the Chinese zodiac calendar, like
Yeah.
one cycle is 12 years kind of stuff, right?
Correct. Yes. Animal.
She's she's 3 cycles, so she's the same animal and 3 cycles down from my mom.
Okay, Joe. I know now why is that's your wife.
Yes,
It's so
and it's crazy. And uh, 1 or 2 years
same
ago,
birthday.
she went 1 or 2 years ago she went to do a health checkup. So she has some health condition that's quite rare. I mean, 1 or 2 out of 10 women might have. Okay,
Yeah.
and my mom had it in the past, and then now she had it, and then uh, there's a lump in some part of her body.
Yeah.
Then when she came back from the hospital, she told my mom that she found that lump there, they got it removed. And my mom told her that she also had a small lump in the same position. So
She
and
take
you
over
ask,
your mom job. I'm sorry. She take over your mom job. Am I
uh,
allowed to say that? I mean,
maybe,
taking care of you.
maybe,
The job of
maybe,
taking care of you, not that job be your mother. I'm saying you. I mean, take care of you, right? Is a job as well. Be the
yes. So if you
responsible.
ask me, how important is a lady in the men's business? I would say 100% important, correct? Because let's say when I go to work, when I go out there to fight for the business and all, and when I come home tired, who's the first person I'm going to meet is my wife, correct?
Yeah.
So if this person is not going to be supportive of what I do, if this person is not going to be encouraging of what I do, then of course I am fighting a quote unquote a battle and a war out there, and I come home and I need to fight another war, right? Which some men do, right? So maybe the girl don't understand why they need to be out there, or why they need to work long hours out there, so on and so forth. So it is going to be tough, okay? If you don't have a supportive wife. So in Chinese, they have a saying called 成功男人背后的女人. Basically, in English, just means to say that the women behind the successful men, correct?
Yeah.
But I would say that, in my opinion, we are equals and we are in this partnership together. So I have a business partner, which is Mel, but I also, in order for the life to be successful, then therefore my life partner also has to be a good match in order
Yeah.
for the entire wheel of life and circle of life to be balanced and doing well, correct? So all in all, definitely, I would agree with many folks that the lady that you choose, or the partner, if you're a lady, the partner that you choose is going to be one of the most important decisions of your life.
Yeah.
And
Mel, can you be so Joe, sorry, can you believe that we've been speaking for an hour?
wow,
It's an awesome podcast actually. Do you enjoy
yes,
it so far? Because I have one
yes,
last
definitely.
question for you.
Okay,
And I would love to meet your partner one day, your wife. I've been heard about her and I would love to know her in person as well.
you
Maybe
will
do
see her
another podcast
definitely.
with her. Yeah. Maybe in the class next time in the future. And
Sure.
congrats again. Congratulations again. It's so exciting
Yes,
for you. I mean,
yes.
I will have a lot of tips for you if you need it. If you don't ask, I won't tell. But if you need it for the upcoming head of job that you carry on,
Yeah.
but be a parent is a blessing. So
Yes,
yes,
it
great
is
for you.
definitely.
I have last question for you, and thank you for come to my show. Actually, you are really share a lot of valuable information for my team, and I think my audience as well. You guys watching this, I'm sure you learned something from Joe today. So if today the client who watching our video who are new business owner who are startup or stuck in their marketing in this 2024, what one tip or advice you would give to him for his business? I mean, of course, I would love him to come to our class, but before he come to class, what small tip that you can share with him to make him motivate on his journey?
I think the simplest tip that I can give you, right, is for every challenge that you have out there right now that you are facing, someone has already figured out the solution and they are
Mm,
already implementing it right now.
that's
So
a
if
very
you're running any form of business, you just look at your competitors, your peers, or whatsoever. In 9 out of 10 cases, they've already figured out a solution either locally in your country or somewhere else in another country. They have already figured out the solution. So your job is not to reinvent the wheel to go and find a solution that's so bloody brand new and you sit at your table to figure out a solution. No. If you sit on there, you will not figure out a solution because the brain which got you to where you are right now will not get you there where you want to be. So therefore, you go and study people who have already succeeded overseas or your peers or competitors locally and go and find out how exactly did they do it. And if you're wondering, how can you find out? Either you spend some money and you go and buy their product or service and experience the entire thing. There's
mm,
one way to see how other folks have done it. Or the other way is you invest money to go and hire a coach who have been through the same process and tell you exactly what to do so that you can save your time, energy, effort. Or the third thing you can do is to invest your time, energy, effort to go and figure out, which frankly is one of the worst way because you need to spend way more time, money, and effort to go and make it happen. So that would be my one single tip. Go and find people who have already solved the challenge that you want to solve.
yeah, awesome, Joe. Really awesome. It's very short, simple, but Very powerful. Guy, if you've been enjoy the conversation with Joe with me, and don't forget to follow him under the link with description below. He may slow respond. Okay. But just ask question if you have another comment, and I will see you guys again in the next episode with different guests. And thank you so much, Joe.
Thank you, Ian, for having me. Wow, we're right on time. See ya.
Thank you for continue support my Ms Nhi Podcast. And don't forget to like,